Recording video content can be a little bit of a hassle, especially if you don't have a really good setup or you're not super knowledgeable in camera gear, lighting, and stuff like that. On today's video, I'm gonna walk you through the best ways to create a very good setup for your video recording content, whether it's for YouTube content, for social media, for your podcast, or whatever it is. I'm gonna give you a few tips that you can kind of go through to checklist and make sure that you have a good setup that works great for you. First things first that I always start with is capacity. What can you actually manage? Because especially if you are a person that is sitting there and you're doing everything, you're bootstrapping, so you do everything yourself when it comes to the recordings of the content or your podcast, we gotta make sure that it fits within the mold of your knowledge and expertise. So for example, if you're somebody that is not technologically knowledgeable, and you're not good with cameras, you're not good with soundboards and all that kind of stuff that you have to mess with in order to set up a good technological standpoint, then I'm not going to be routing you to buying a $10,000 Red camera or even a $5,000 Canon camera. I might have you get just a simple camera or a web camera or shoot with your iPhone. We got to make sure that we're working within your means, basically, to be able to capture the content, because one of the number one reasons that I see people stop doing any kind of content, whether it is a podcast, YouTube, or social media stuff, is because they got burned out on the setup. And we got to make sure that it's not labor intensive, really, especially if you don't have personnel and somebody that's able to set it up for you. That's important if you are bootstrapping everything yourself. Let's make sure that it works within your means and you're able to maybe level up from there. So maybe you start with recording from your iPhone, which I have the video on, so make sure you go check that out. And maybe you start recording on your iPhone and that's how you get going. Maybe you level up to a camera and then you start recording it the way I am, where you have it plugged into my computer and I'm able to route this directly into Riverside so that I can capture all the content, as opposed to having to download the videos from the SD card, then upload it to a Google Drive folder. There's so many different ways you could do this and everybody's gonna have a different answer, but we gotta make sure it fits within your means and knowledge. Basically what I mean by this is don't put too much pressure on yourself. If somebody says you need to build out a $10,000 recording studio and you're like, where do I even begin? Don't start there, especially if you've never done content before. This is something I'm very adamant about. Start with what works and what's already there and what you're knowledgeable in, then work up from there. So I have other videos that talk about like what gear to use, how to record with your phone and that sort of thing. So make sure you do go check those out. But at the end of the day, let's pick the right device that works for you. One of the most important things though, after video, is gonna be your audio. We need to make sure we have a good microphone, because a good microphone is gonna make the difference, all the difference in the world of if people are actually gonna stick around and watch or listen to your podcast or your video. Because let's just take, for example, we have a beautifully shot video that looks excellent, but maybe the camera sounds really muffled, or maybe it's really quiet, or maybe it just doesn't sound good and it's staticky. Typically, people are going to stick around for that, because audio is how you're actually consuming the content. Whether you have the captions on your video or not, it's important to make sure that the audio does sound good. Now, you don't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars on microphones. You could get a simple setup and get a lavalier mic that you bought from Amazon for, $50 or something like that. There's a lot of budget options and most of them do work well. Just test them out and see what works. But make sure you do invest a good amount into your audio. And most of the time, it's plug and play. Most of the time, you can get a USB microphone that plugs into your laptop and you just go, or you plug the microphone, the lavalier microphone into your camera, and it's a go. The next thing is your lighting. Lighting is important, and we need to make sure that you have a well-lit area that makes sense for you. Where I'm filming right now, I would say, not egotistically, it looks really good. Here's my lighting setup. I literally have no lights around here. Like, I have no softbox or anything like that. It's literally just my overhead lights in my kitchen, and then I have a chandelier right here that's lit up. But I have a window right here that's shining through, and then windows right here that's shining through, and I'm letting natural light in, which ultimately is the best type of lighting. Natural lighting is gonna give you the best balance that you could possibly get, make it look natural, and it's not gonna be, looking crazy. The other thing is you maybe have a studio background where my dog is over there jumping on the couch and she's not supposed to be. But this is a dark area and it makes me pop out of the screen a little bit more and makes it look good. This is simple stuff. Like, I haven't set up any other lighting. I've just opened all my curtains, turned on the lights ahead of me, and that's it. So the next thing is your environment. Now, if you're doing video recordings, let's say, for me, I actually have a service where I'll travel out to clients and record content with them. A lot of times they're not gonna have a recording studio, so where do we film? There's a few options, and I have a whole nother video on this, but I'll run through them really quickly. Number one is obviously if you have an office, that's a great place. Now we can set up some things, we can move things around, move furniture around, make it look good. There's some very simple things that you can do to actually make the appearance of the video look good. Another place is obviously your house. Now I'm in my house right now. I'm at my kitchen counter with the living room in the background. Some of the other videos you might see, I'm actually up in my office recording. These are the two most common places I record, and they work well because they're quiet, they're conducive to my environment, and they actually look good and they're clean. Those are the things that you want to make an importance on. Some of the other tips I might give you is if you don't have an office, if your house is full of kids and you can't film in there, or maybe it's messy, rent an Airbnb, rent a hotel room, and those are good places to be able to sit down and record content, not be bothered, and for it to be a very quiet environment. But generally speaking, close to home is a really good idea because typically people have decent homes that they can film in and make it work in some way, shape, or form, especially with the natural lighting in the windows. A couple other tips that I'm going to give you that are kind of off the cuff here is, number one is make sure that you have water or some sort of drink that you can have next to you that you can take breaks and sip on that, because the last thing you want is for you to have a microphone on and people be hearing your mouth smacking, and that just sounds awful. This is one of the biggest reasons why I don't listen to TED Talks, is because you can hear that every single time because somebody's glands are really glistening and they sound like they're smacking on gum or something like that. And it just doesn't sound good. Like it's a pet peeve of mine. And for a lot of people, it is as well. So just make sure you're taking breaks in between and actually drinking water and that sort of thing. It's a thing that like is a no-brainer, but honestly, a lot of people need to do it more often. Another thing is, for my environment, what I do is I batch my content. So I actually have a bunch of hats and shirts that I am going to be changing into as I'm recording my content here. So the video that you're seeing right now, I recorded 3 other videos before this, and I'm going to record another 3 or 4 after this. So have that stuff ready to go so that you're not having to like shelf through your closet throughout the videos and that sort of thing. That's very important. And then last but not least is make sure your area is clean. If I showed you a top-down view of where I'm at right now, you would see my laptop, you would see my tea that I'm drinking, which, by the way, a hot tip, green tea while you're doing videos is amazing because it has L-theanine in it and caffeine. Those two things combined create ultra focus. So that's a good tip. And then I have my phone, and that's it. And then off to the side, way over here is all my clothes and everything that I just showed you, but there's literally nothing else on my counter. That helps me not have distractions. So it's important to make sure that you don't have distractions in front of you because that helps you stay focused. Hopefully those tips, there's probably a lot of other tips I could give you, but those are the main ones that I would give you. As I'm recording content now, I thought about these things and making sure that I kind of relay to you what makes sense in terms of recording content. So these are the things that you need to be thinking about in order to create a good environment for you to record content. And ultimately, I would say batch your content as well. That's a hot tip, is batch your content. Make sure that you're not just recording one video, record a bunch and then change in between each one and you're good to go. Hopefully I'll give you some good tips on recording content and creating an environment that works for you. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you have subscribed to the show. Like this video, leave a comment below if you have any questions, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy.